keep active players as my playmates and as my friends. When I start communicating with people, when we're friends in game, I actually start taking an interest in your life. Kind of want to know if school is going bad, if it's going good. If it is somebody who has only talked to me for one day and never talks to me again, I probably won't stay friends with them. Starlight, I think that's because you're actually pretty quiet in game. Let's face it, you mostly talk when I am online. And Starlight's actually my wife in game. So, but I met her on a different server. You're not a talker, really. You sure had me fooled. You really had me fooled, Starlight. I swear, I get you talking and there's no stopping. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. But basically, what I'm saying is if somebody hasn't been. Yes. Okay, I can see how you're shy with everybody else. Especially with some of the stuff that I've seen. Actually, funny story how I became friends with Starlight, okay? So, different server, different faction. I was watching Starlight greet everybody as they came on. If she saw them sign in to faction, she would say hello to everybody, ask them how they're doing. And she was just trying to be friendly and trying to be an active talker. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, nobody's responding to her. That's kind of rude. But also, sometimes people aren't paying attention to chat. So I saw what was going on and I started talking to her. And I continued to see the same thing going on. If I started talking in chat, somebody would say something to me, and they would talk to me because they know I'm social, they know I'm going to respond, they know that I actually take an interest in people. And then Starlight would say something while everybody else was talking together and with me and with each other. And they wouldn't say hi to her. And I was just like, this is bull. This is bull poop. And I actually apologized to her for the way everybody was being, for everybody acting kind of like it was a cliquish thing, because only the most active people since the beginning of the server were talking to each other. And I am one of those people. It is easy for me to join a clique, but I really don't like cliques to start with because they exclude people. But no, Starlight totally became one of my best friends. And when I said I was going to start streaming and such on a different server, she's like, "Oh, can I join you? Can I be your wife on that server?" And I was just like, you know what? I love the idea. This is somebody who I've spoken with a lot, who's become a pretty important part of my life. I actually talk to Starlight every single day. And she is one of my best friends ever. And I'm just like, you know what? She's putting in the effort. She deserves the effort back. And I wanted somebody who I could depend on in game. And I talked to Starlight about everything in life, from coloring pages all the way to the game, all the way to what I talked about with my therapist the other day. And if you can find somebody that you trust, like I trust Starlight and she trusts me, then it is 100% worth keeping them as one of your close companions in the game. Whether you get married to them or they are your playmate, just play, enjoy yourself. Play with your friends. That is what makes the game so wonderful. Just play with your friends. It's worth it. 100% worth it to play with your friends. Okay. I see we've hit the 1 hour mark, but you know what? I was sick on Monday, so let's just keep going. Aww. She says I'm worth everything that she puts into helping. Like, seriously. This is like my best friend here. Right here. And honestly, if you don't talk to her in game, or if you try to talk to her in game and she's being shy, let me know, because I'll start teasing her about it. I will so start teasing her about it. But don't try to come to me and tell me that she's being rude, because I know she isn't rude. Okay, so we're gonna go into the question of the day, which is, how do I choose which heroes are stronger? Here's the answer. It depends on how you play. It depends on what class you are. Now, I'm going to show you something real quick. So let's do this. Settings, switch account. I'm doing this on purpose. Because guess what? There is no concrete answer to how to tell which hero is the strongest. Because each hero is completely different. I am so serious. Each hero is different. I don't care. We'll log in. Now, we'll just say we're switching I don't know. I don't have anything on 42. So, first of all, when you are looking at each class of hero, what you need to know. Whoops. That stinks. It doesn't show you what the features are. So, when you are looking at heroes, when you are creating your hero, basically what you need to know. Your gourmet is going to be a healer. If you are a healer, you are going to play different than a tank, different than a DPS, and different than an AoE. If you play the doctor, you are basically an AoE, an area of effect. You are giving out buffs and debuffs. You are not going to be able to take a lot of hurt. If you are a tank or a guard, basically, this is how they are when you are starting the game. Not all guards are tanks. Just so you know, not all doctors are AoE. Some of them are DPS. But when you have your basic characters, it's different. Your guard tends to be your tank in Rise of Queendom. Your scholar, look at this, an expert at AoE, area of effect with weak viability and agility. So your viability and your agility is going to be really low. However, your energy is going to be really high. I cannot tell you which one of these is the strongest, because each one has its strong points, has its weak points. Your DPS is going to be your damage per strike, which means it's going to do a lot of damage in one strike. A tank, if you've ever played World of Warcraft, you are going to take those team building skills and apply them to Rise of Queendom. It might not make any sense because the play style is different for each game, but I am telling you, the play style is actually the same. If you are a healer, you don't want to get hit a lot because you're busy trying to keep everybody else alive. You're trying to keep your tank alive. You're trying to keep everyone alive. If you are the DPS, you run in, you strike hard and fast, and then you get out of dodge. There is no quick fix to building your team. Building your team is dependent on your play style, dependent on your class, and dependent on what heroes you have available to you. Okay? Aqua is not the only person who has asked me, what are the strongest heroes? I will be 100% perfectly honest with you. If you build your team with nothing but guards, technically, yes, you have the strongest heroes because they will have the highest rating. You can see, actually, if I go to him, so if you look at the rating of each of my heroes, if I were to just put the highest rating hero on my team, that would technically be the strongest team, but it also wouldn't be. It would be the strongest team, but it wouldn't be the best team. The difference between playing with the best team versus the strongest team is actually going to weaken you. It'll weaken you a lot because guess what? The strongest team is going to be built completely out of guards. Now, the best team is going to have a healer, a tank, probably a couple DPS, and a couple AoE. So you will have some heroes that are area of effect, some damage per second. And the thing is, I cannot tell you, use this team and you will always win. Because it's impossible. It's impossible. Because the way I play is different than other people. I like to play in a way where my team is fairly balanced. And my team isn't nearly as balanced as I want it to be right now. But you can see my character, Wrath, is a healer. I can resurrect or revive, and I heal my team. Typically, I have Li Bu at the front of my team because of his skills. The Heimer, he hits single shots. He has good attacks, and he has a good defense, and you can see he has a really high HP. Sometimes I will put Ming Xuan. Ming Xuan? Probably Ming Xuan. Up front because of his armor piercing skills and because he is a control. when you go and look at the guide that I made for team building, you will note that I didn't put any hero names in it. And I did that on purpose. Yes, Starlight, I have seen your team. It is a wild setup. Actually, let me show you how Starlight has her team set up. And yes, I can totally do this. So if you go into another character's profile and you click on team, you can see the team setup. Right now, she has Dr. Song at the front of her. Okay, never mind. He's on the wing. Okay. It always throws me off because when you're looking at your in battle and how your team is set up, they switch these two spots. Prince Gao is actually a good character to have in front because when you look at him, he has a nice high X HP, and come on, when you look at his skills, the battle dance, it's a single attack, but if you look at the attack rate, how it increases, when you look at his other skills, this group attack, it deals a lot of damage. It also has a chance to decrease the rage of one random enemy player. You also have the Great Bash. Now, Prince Gao technically is a DPS. He does a lot of damage per second. But because of how high his HP is, you can use him as a tank. It will not always work well using him as a tank, but he is still alright to use as a tank if you do not have any other tanks available. You really should be out here on the wings. If we look at Mubexi, you can see that his HP is also pretty high, and so is his attack. Who would I put in his place? Probably Mubexi. Okay? Because Mubexi actually has some control. So when you look at the A shot, it deals damage to 3 people, but it also increases his self-defense and his parry rate. So he's kind of self-defending. He has a really good defense. And when you look at his attacks, he can stun an enemy. He deals a lot of damage, which helps him pull aggro. Or when I say pull aggro, it means basically when you're in a group and you're going like, hey, 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 hit me first. He's the character that you kind of want to go and you want to have him getting hit the most. Actually, from did you just change your team around? Oh boy. Yeah, she did. She put Mubexi up front. We'll see if it updates. This is funny. So let's go look at the team. Yep, there you go. Mubexi is in front. And with the way this team is built, he really does belong up front. Wiguang is actually one of my favorite DPS AoE because he has some awesome group attacks that deal a lot of damage. And his single attack is awesome because it allows him to recover HP too. But he is excellent AoE. Wiguang is excellent AoE. You want to know why? Because he hits an area. When you look at it, it's 3 random targets. How do you tell the difference between DPS and AoE? AoE is going to have an area of attack. Your DPS is going to have single attacks. You're too much for me today, Starlight. You're hilarious today. I love it. So Prince Gao is actually really good DPS. Even though he has that one group attack, it actually is really good. His other 2 attacks are specific targets, which is excellent. When you go into battle, and we go here to Wanted. When you go into battle, let's see. Let's grab this guy. Nope, don't. Yeah, I'm just going to skip this real quick because these guys barely survived the first round ever. And you can see I'm level 99 and I'm beating 15. Okay. So, why you put your tank in the front? You see how it says focus? You can decide who you want to focus on. Okay? Protect. You will want to use your tank to protect certain heroes who are getting way too much attention. So, if you're in a big battle where your heroes are getting, one hero is getting too much attention, you're gonna use your tank there to protect whichever character is being hit the most. One of the things that people do in Flower Storm, they will manually select and they will attack the healer first. Why do you attack the healer first? Because if you take out the healer, the person that can revive, you end up decimating the other team. Now, as we look through my team, you will realize that I don't have another healer on my team. I only have me. I am the only healer. Yeah, my team isn't wild. Yet. They might be wild at parties, we don't know. But looking at the skills. Divine Feast. When you look at it, no damage. Add a shield and debuff immunity effect to your team. Yes, you're surviving, and I'm going to go over your team again with you, and I'm going to find a way to get you Zishi. She is way better than Song. I despise Dr. Song because he gets used as a healer, and I don't think he makes a very good healer. Yeah, I see you laughing. Okay. So, when you look at the details of Divine Feast, 5 allies with the lowest percentage of HP add a shield with HP, which will deal damage of the same value to the enemy after it's broken. So, this gives my heroes HP and deals damage. But HP, it gives health points. Raging Fire has a large area of effect of attack. It recovers health points for whichever one of your allies has the lowest HP. So whichever character has the lowest HP on your team is going to get HP. Even though this is something that deals damage to the other team. It's basically like when you're playing Pokemon and you use Bulbasaur and use Leech Seed. Raging Fire is the equivalent of Leech Seed. It takes HP from the enemy and gives it to you. When we look at Magical Cure, this doesn't do any damage. It's recover a certain amount of HP for allies instantly. You can because this is in the middle of the team, you can select which one of your heroes you are going to heal. And you realize, what is the theme with my healer? Pokemon is a different way to explain. It makes sense. I think everybody knows Pokemon. And if they don't, they grew up in a hole in the ground. I don't know. If you look at Delicacy Temptation, no damage, revive allies. This is the skill that revives the dead. You are resurrecting the dead using Delicacy Temptation. It's not just healing spell, it's necromancy. It's like, ha ha ha, you're alive. I am way too nerdy sometimes. Just bear with me. Jiming Chang. I use this guy a lot, especially since I use a healer. Oh, that's funny. Thank you. I love you too. So, Jiming Chang. Single attack. Single attack. Add defense ignorance. Single attack and cage the target. Okay. Jiming Chang. I use him as a tank because if he gets attacked, he has a chance to silence the enemy, cage the enemy, which means the enemy cannot move. And you realize every single attack is single target. He is doing a lot of damage, but look at that HP. Look at the defense. Okay? We come back here. Actually, my defense is fairly good. Probably because of the way that So, actually, if you look at Wrath, if you go and take a look at his equipment, I put lots of defense on Wrath. This is why Wrath's defense is so high, is because Wrath has defense and resistance. Because he is my healer, I make sure he has defense and resistance. Damage negative. The HP I don't worry about because I'm eventually going to replace the HP with agility as soon as I can. The agility gems are kind of hard to get hold of. But the only reason Wrath's defense is so high is because I know that a healer needs that defense. They need that resistance, because if they don't have that defense and resistance, they're gonna die pretty fast. But your tank is going to have a good defense. They're going to have a lot of HP. They're going to be able to take a hit and keep on going, keep on going. Now, Wiguang, I think I already talked about him. Yeah, he's a good AoE. He does a lot of damage to a large area. Talked about him. Li Bu. Okay, you see a lot of people use Li Bu as a tank. He is not a tank. He is DPS. Single attack. He does a lot of damage. The lower the target's HP, the higher the damage is caused. Single attack. He drains HP. And he'll drain HP from the other team and add it to himself. Which means he is still doing a lot of damage. And the skill damage increases. You see that? It increases. Damage increases. Now, this small area of effectiveness attack, it's a group attack, but it's not a group attack. It's 2 random targets, which means pretty much the target he's focusing on, and 1 other person, plus that. You can see, look at the damage. 95% chance to deal damage, totaling the attack 105.4% plus 1860. Look at the damage. He's doing a ton of damage. When you look at how high his attack is. Look at how high his crit is. Compared to others. I don't know how I got last crit so high. But this is actually my team that I have for my healer. And you realize I have some heroes that do a lot of attack. This is my team that I like to use for my healer. If I was playing with a different class of character, I would have a different team built. When you look at Wei Zifu, when you look at her skills, this doesn't do any damage, but it increases my allies' attack and defense. So Wei Zifu does buffs. She is there to go, your attack is increased, your attack is increased, your defense is increased. Guys are stronger and can take more damage. That's what a buff is going to do. That is almost purely area of effect. So you know she's an AoE. Why doesn't she count as a healer? Because she increases the attack and defense. She does have a healing skill. But when you look, she adds shield effect to your allies. That does not mean that your ally is healing. That means your allies have a shield. Your healer is going to be HP, health point, health point, health point. Your AoE can have healing effects, but just because a hero has one healing effect does not make them a healer. Wei Zifu is a good AoE to have on a team where you already have a really good healer and you just want a little bit of an extra buff healing. Finally on my team is Zhong Wu Yan. I love this character for this team in particular because as you look at her, you can see she has a control effect. So not only does she do a lot of damage, but she also helps control the other team. She will make it so that a member of the other team cannot move the next go round. When you look at Galaxy Moon, it does the same thing. It deals damage and does, where is it? Where is it? It disables the target and decreases the damage. So Zhong Wu Yan she's a happy medium between an AoE and a DPS, but she leans more towards DPS because she does a lot of damage. I am too paying attention. She does a lot of damage, and she will basically stun, which is actually similar to what Jiming Huan does, except the difference is actually going to be in the HP. So you see her HP. Now, granted, she is 2 levels above, and you look at Jiming Huan's HP. She is 2 levels above him. Between him and her, I am doing a major amount of damage. But you realize this is still a team that I built around a healer. there are other heroes that I could use that might be better. If I had a different hero, let's see. If I had Lo on my team and I was building a team around her, pay attention to the skills. I look, she has a large area of attack and does a buff. So she increases the crit damage for the rest of the team. Lo is actually really one of the characters that is taken for granted the most, because she has some really good damage while de- while decreasing the defense of the enemy. So when you look, she decreases the defense, which lasts for 2 rounds. She also has a decent attack rate, and if you look, it deals damage to a group. She is going to be a decent AoE. You look, you see how much damage she does to a group of people, and then she also debuffs them. The armor piercing means that she decreases their defense rate, and the lower the defense, the more damage you're going to be able to do. Lo actually would make a great AoE. I could easily put her in the place of Li Wang or Lu Bu. When you're building your team, you have to build to your strengths. When you go through the archive, know that just because you're using all orange heroes, which are rarer and actually have the higher rating, your butt can still be kicked by somebody who doesn't have as many orange heroes. And I can show you real quick. So if we go to the palace map, talk to the royal officer, go into the personal arena, go into summit, and let's see if I can find one of the players who has okay. So you can see how Kyo, he has this hero here, Jai Quao, who is purple, which means she's not as rare. She doesn't have nearly as high a rating. But he has her leveled up really, really high. Look at the amount of buffs she does. 4 allies with the highest attack get an increase to their resistance. that lasts for 2 rounds. She also provides a recover and that does damage. So once again, it's a little life leech Bulbasaur attack. She is comparable to Wei Zifu. And she's a purple character. She has a revive skill, which is actually starting to make her look more like a healer than anything. Let's see. I haven't taken a closer look at her. But let's see. Actually, this Daiquao actually qualifies as a good healer. I've actually never looked at her this close before. But if you look, recover HP, that's a lot. She has a revive, which is amazing. And then she has another thing that increases the attack and resistance and recovers HP. The biggest difference between your gold heroes and your non-gold heroes is your gold heroes, once you get them to a certain level, they actually end up with a fourth skill that you can use. If you look, Zishi, this is another hero that gets used a lot. She is a good healer because she has a good HP recovery rate and she helps increase resistance. Every skill that you look at her, she is helping allies recover from damage. So she also has the revive skill. So Kyo, even though he has just a slighter higher rating than me, can actually do some damage to people who have a much higher rating than him because he has so much healing. And well, I hit the wrong button again. But you look, he has 2 healers on his team. He has a good AoE, he has good DPS, and as if we skip, you can see he kicked my butt. He actually has put a lot of thought into his team, which provides an incredible change of pace. Because the more thought you put into your team, the better your team is. I can't tell you play with the same team that I'm playing with. And that's because your playstyle is most likely different than mine. Just because I think this one hero is the best of the best of the best doesn't really mean that that hero is. When you ask me, how do you tell which hero is the strongest? The answer to that question is extremely dependent on a lot of other factors. What class are you playing? When you say which hero is stronger, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a hero that's doing damage? Are you looking for a hero that's healing? Are you looking at a hero that you need to add a lot of buffs? Or do you need a hero that can take a lot of damage? And I know it's a little frustrating because it's like, I'm not telling you, go use this team. These are the best heroes. This is the hero you need to use. This hero you have to get no matter what. Because there's no way I can actually say, this is how you know which hero is the best. Because it is 100% dependent on a whole bunch of factors. I typically play so that I can do a lot more damage to players that have a higher level than me. I play trying to survive in areas I'm not supposed to be in. Because I want that experience. Are you, I mean, is it important for you to be the number one in the world? Or is it important for you to be able to decimate a team in 2 moves? What is your goal with your team? And saying, I want to be the best player. Okay. You want to be the best player, but how do you want to be the best player? Do you want to be the best healer? Do you want to be the best person who does damage? Because all of it, every single answer that I could give you depends on so many different things. I mean, we just found out that Daishuan is a kick butt healer. Especially if maybe you don't have Zishi. There are, and sometimes it frustrates people. If you were to take Don Wong, and you look at him, he has a small area of attack, and when you look, it's okay, he deals a lot of damage, but he also reflects a good amount of damage taken. And that lasts for 3 rounds. When you look, he has a good single attack that helps him recover HP. That's starting to sound like someone who makes a good tank. He has another single attack that deals a decent amount of damage to one target and increases his defense. If I have Huan Hong, I can actually level him up a lot cheaper than I can one of my gold heroes. And he would make a very good tank, and he would also make a very good DPS. You have to decide for yourself. Are you going to go after the rarest of the rare heroes? Or are you going to work with some of the less qualified heroes and completely blow people's minds? Because these heroes, the purple, the blue, the green, people automatically assume that they are weak. But they really aren't weak. They actually have their own pluses and minuses. And because they're more common heroes, it is actually possible to use these heroes and have a team completely built out of these lower level, lower rarity heroes and decimate a team like I have built here. I know it's frustrating getting the same answer that no, there is no hero that is necessarily better than the others. But I'm being so truthful and so honest because there isn't. I cannot tell you this is the best hero, period. It's you have to decide which hero is best for you and go along with that because maybe the hero that I tell you is the best, you end up getting that hero and hating it. And then you come back and you're like, well, you told me to use this hero. I play differently than you do. It's actually one of the things that sometimes me and Starlight end up talking about a lot is, well, this hero you shouldn't use. This hero you should use. I don't like Dr. Song, but maybe she likes Dr. Song. The thing is, when you are building your team and you want the best heroes for your team, you need to find that out for yourself because there really is absolutely no way I can tell you use this team, you'll win 100% of the time because they're the best, yada yada yada. But no, they really aren't necessarily the best. I mean, everybody wants to get the pay to play heroes. And the thing is, just because you have a hero that you pay for does not mean that it's going to be the best hero for you. And I really do apologize. Because people will constantly pop up in chat and ask me which hero is the best to use. Should I use this hero or this hero? And the thing is, just because those heroes are in the same class doesn't mean that they're comparable at all. Just because two heroes are gourmet does not make them both healers. Now, in Rise of Queendom, typically a gourmet is a healer. But not all of the gourmets are healers. You have to actually go through. You have to do your own research. Because where one hero might be perfect for you, and another hero might not even be worth your time. Just take a look. Go in and say, what do I want on my team? And then you can choose the strongest hero for your team because it will be the strongest because it complements you. If you have a team that is balanced and complements each other, you can decimate other players. And they'll just be sitting there going, what on earth just happened? So go through, figure out which hero works best for you, and use the guides that I gave you, because I did honestly make a guide that tells you what you're looking for each type of each type of hero you need on your team. You have a guide that tells you how to decide which tank is going to be best for you. And then also which gems to put on that hero. What things you want to focus on, what attributes. So use that to help you decide what works best for you. So I want to thank everybody for their time. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to subscribe. It's free to subscribe. I let anyone talk in my chat rooms. Join me on Discord. Share my videos with your friends if they play Rise of Queendom, or use my videos to get your friends addicted to Rise of Queendom so you can play with your friends. Yeah, I just said that. Use me to get your friends to play. But at the end of the day, give me a like, because that helps me and it doesn't cost anything. And just know there's a lot more coming. So I love you guys. Y'all take care. Bye.